Hi guys, welcome back. So it's time for aquascaping. I had a cichlid tank a few years ago and I had 60 kilos of ocean rock left over. I thought that would be enough to do the tank, but as you can see from the picture a minute ago, there's barely any there. So I went to my LFS and bought 2 new boxes. So I laid them all out on the place where the tank's going to go, and it just looks like loads of stones stacked on top of each other, and that's exactly what it is, but it's not the kind of look I wanted to go for. So I've decided to do a negative space aquascape. So I chose some of the flattest and biggest rocks that I had, ground them with an angle grinder, and then ground them back down to being perfectly flat on the stone outside. And this is important because when you put the stones down, you don't want points pushing on the glass and creating forces and point loads. So you want a nice flat base to start with, and then you won't get your rocks falling over. I sorted through the rocks and tried to make some interesting formations, and used a reef safe gel super glue to glue them together. This stuff's so thick it really makes it easier to get into the cracks, but you do need to thin it down so that you've got a thinner layer, because it goes off a lot quicker, and it means you can move the rocks quicker to be able to move on to the next stage. I'm just using a stick here to smooth it down. I then used an epoxy putty. This is D&D stuff. It's only about £5 a packet, so it's not too expensive. You mash it up and then shove it into the cracks and the joints, and try and give it some support so that the rocks aren't just balancing on the super glued little bits of super glue. You want them fully supported. It also hides the seam, so you can't tell that it's 2 different rocks glued together. And you can then use something to put some texture onto the putty. I've used a stick here with quite a unique end, and it's made some really good texture on it. I've seen people using small bits of rock, but they're hard to hold and they're hard to get into the right place. So this stick worked well for me. One of the other things you can use, if you don't want to use the putty, is like a reef cement. So this stuff from Nios I bought, and I tried it a couple of nights ago. I mixed a batch up, glued 2 stones together, and then moved them to the back of the shelf. And in the morning I came down and they hadn't stuck. And I think what I'd done is I'd moved it too many times and just wobbled it so that it hadn't adhered properly to both parts. I thought I'd give it another go, and I mixed some up and pushed it into the bottom of this big crack where I'm joining two foundation stones, and it goes off in about 2 minutes. It's a bit tricky to get the consistency right, but it goes off really quick, so I only do it in small batches. I came down the next morning and this was stuck absolutely solid. I was amazed at how well it had stuck. That afternoon I came home from work, and my partner pointed out that I dropped a big blob on the floor and that she couldn't get it off. It took me a pair of pliers and a hammer to get it to come off the floor, and I hadn't even mashed it on the floor. So the adhesion of it is really good if you use it right. So once you've got the joints made, either putty or reef cement, you want to get some thin super glue and coat the surface of the joint with the super glue, and then sprinkle on top of that some of the dust from the rocks. So I got this from when I was drilling holes where I was originally going to pin them together. So you shove this on and then give it a quick blow off, and you can repeat it a couple of times, sometimes is necessary, and you can't see the seams anymore. So just one continuous piece of rock really hides it well. This was my first venture into doing any type of aquascaping that wasn't just balancing rocks and stacking them up in piles. I was really apprehensive of doing it, but I think it's turned out really well. I'm really happy with it. Because you're using negative space and you're not just stacking bundles of rocks, it means you don't need quite as much rock to fill out the aquarium, and you can give some really natural looking habitat for the fish. They can hide well, and I think if they've got the space to be able to hide, then they're more confident in the tank, and you end up seeing them more because they swim out more because they're happy and they feel like they've got a safe space. We've got about 30 kilos of rock left to finish gluing, and then I'll be done. The tank is hopefully coming next week, and then I'll be able to get it all put together and up and running. So tell me in the comments what you think to my first ever negative aquascape. Thank you for following me, and like and comment. Cheers guys, take care.